Turn our mics on.
Turn your mics on, please.
Yeah, I know. That's what we said. Okay, chair, what's up, Mary? Pull up. Peter's changing out chairs. Again. We haven't been.
There goes the plan.
Now the plant's on the ground. Luckily, there's no dirt, it's fake plant, I think.
Yeah. that's just her.
Wasn't it Port Orford? We were at their meeting and we sat at their table and their chairs were
Yeah.
perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The last.
I know the
minute.
last minute's always
We don't
quiet.
have any. Dude, do we have some cups for water?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We can drink out of the bottle, can't we?
No, it looks funny though. It looks funny. It gets too noisy. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll call the meeting to order. June, do you have the roll call? And I don't think the minister is here. At least I don't see him. So we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by our council president, Madeline Seymour. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda is the Greater Bandon Association Volunteer of the Month.
Microphone is on. Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Councilors, City staff. It is my pleasure to recognize a wonderful member of our community, Berta Dargin, as the Greater Bandon Association Volunteer of the Month for August. Berta has been dedicating her time and energy to the Bandon Historical Museum since 2021. Her commitment extends beyond just volunteering. She's been serving as the museum's board, on the museum's board for the past year and a half, helping to shape and guide the museum's future. In addition to her work at the museum, Berta serves as a relief volunteer at the visitor center, and so she's always ready to step in when needed. And that kind of dependability is invaluable. And Berta does it with a smile. This past spring, Berta began volunteering with the Shoreline Education for Awareness, our SEA program here in Bandon, sharing her knowledge about birds and seal pups and tide pools with the community. And Berta didn't hesitate when asked earlier this summer to become a parking greeter with Circles in the Sand. And that is no small thing. She was there this morning talking with visitors, parking cars. So her wonderful sense of humor and warm smile make her a delight to work with. Berta's contributions don't stop there. She also volunteered for last year's Cranberry Festival, and recognizing her dedication, one of our board members invited her to assist with the Greater Bandon Association. And as a result of that, we'll be seen selling wine glasses at our wine walks from time to time, further showcasing her versatile support of our community. Berta, your dedication, enthusiasm, and spirit of service are a testament to the strength of our community. We're incredibly fortunate to have you, and it is an honor to recognize your contributions. Please join me in congratulating Berta Dargin, Volunteer of the Month Award. Thank you, Berta. And Berta is receiving an engraved plaque. Yeah, wow, I know. And a gift certificate to Coastal Miss Chocolate.
Wow.
Ooh.
Good one. Thank you, Berta. And the next item on the agenda is a proclamation for Parks and Recreation. We talked about it last month because actually it's July that is Park and Recreation Month, but we want somebody from the Parks Commission or the Greater Bandon, Friends of Bandon Parks to come up and receive this.
We want pictures.
Thank you so much.
You want pictures? What are we gonna do with them? I'll put them on the website.
Okay, the next one is National Health Center Week. Is anyone here from the Coast Community Health Center? If not, I'll just read the last paragraph. It says, "Let it be known that on the 5th day of August, I, Mary Shamahorn, do hereby declare August 4th through 10th to be National Health Center Week in Bandon and urge residents to express their appreciation for people, facilities, and technologies that make trustworthy, reliable healthcare possible in our community." Now, this was put together for Coast Community Health Center, but we also have the Southern Coos Clinic as well as North Bend Medical. So we will be presenting this to them. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Friends of Bandon Parks and Recreation. Christine Hall is going to be giving us a very comprehensive presentation.
Thank you. Good
And
evening.
I will say there's not going to be any vote by the council tonight. This is strictly a presentation, so we appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Christine Hall, 1346 Strawberry Drive, Southwest Bandon. The first thing I want to start out with is we conducted a petition and got signatures, and I'll turn this over to June, but we have 165 petitions that are signed. 10 were online. The rest of them are paper copies, and they're all attached.
Thank you.
So I'll give these to June. To begin, I want to introduce Wade. Actually, Wade Troxel is going to be giving the presentation tonight. And we appreciate this opportunity to present to you about Johnson Creek Greenway. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Wade Troxel. I live at 2922 Ruby Court. I've been a Bandon resident for 2 years, and tonight here representing the nonprofit Friends of Bandon Parks and Recreation, where I serve as their treasurer. We're here tonight to talk to you about Johnson Creek Greenway and our focus on keeping it in a natural state. Our goal tonight is for you, our city council, to vote yes to retain and maintain Johnson Creek Greenway as a natural resource parkland as defined in the Parks Master Plan, the Comprehensive Plan, and the Capital Improvement Plan, so that the community can move forward in planning and further restoration. My objective tonight is to illustrate the potential outcomes and benefits of retaining Johnson Creek as part of the city's park system. This is the agenda I'll be using, and I will move through it fairly quickly.
She's trying to share online, I think.
There we are.
Zoom.
We're good.
Dana to the rescue.
There goes the IT lady.
Technical difficulties. We have a lot of them.
Yes,
We
we
have
do.
Church too.
I don't think that was it.
Yeah.
Slide 4, please.
There you go.
Okay. Good. Johnson Creek. This 37-acre site is a nature escape located off Beach Loop Drive. The land features numerous examples of vegetation, habitats, and environments, including wetlands, a creek, pond, meadows, and mature trees. And I do have a few additional photos to help familiarize you with the property tonight. So a very beautiful and diverse piece of property. The city purchased it in 2019, and after purchase, it was added to the Parks Master Plan with a designation of natural resource. NR 15 Johnson Creek and NR 16 Johnson Creek wetland were created at that time. Johnson Creek is a very unique piece of property, and I'd like to share a few definitions with you tonight. First, we refer to it as a greenway. A greenway is a strip of undeveloped land near an urban area set aside for recreational use or environmental protection, generally designed for walkers to help promote a healthier lifestyle. Johnson Creek is also a natural wetland whose purpose is protecting and improving water quality, providing fish and wildlife habitats, storing floodwaters, and maintaining surface water flow during dry periods. Johnson Creek is also a watershed as it flows directly into the Pacific Ocean. And most importantly, Johnson Creek is a wet prairie habitat, which is one of the most endangered types on our coast. In fact, over the last century, 95% of our coastal wetlands have been lost. As a wet prairie habitat, it means that the ground is going to hold water for a good part of the year. A few facts about the land when we think about how to best use it. First, in Oregon, wetlands are regulated through the authority of several federal and state laws. So if developmental activities occur that require earthwork, you're going to need permitting at the federal, state, and often the local level. Johnson Creek Greenway as a wetland distributes the runoff from the homes in the Seacrest Seabird area. If workforce housing is considered in the Woolen Mill area, any loss of wetlands in this development could then be mitigated through Johnson Creek. And a final fact, the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife has deemed Johnson Creek a fish-bearing stream and notes the presence of cutthroat trout, picklebacks, coast range sculpin, and lampreys. There has been considerable investment at Johnson Creek. Since 2019, an estimated 1,900 volunteer hours have been dedicated. The focus has been on adding native species, and 3 planting events have added 150 trees, all donated by Stillwater Natives Nursery with an estimated cost over $2,600. Trees planted include the Western Red Cedar, Pacific 9-bark, crabapple, and others. The planting that has taken place has been very purposeful in design. According to Darcy Graysick, the owner of Stillwater Natives Nursery, she tells us the trees were planted in an original native design. From overhead, the pattern mimics the Coquille tribe basket pattern. She further states that the red cedars planted represent a sacred tree to these indigenous people. The city has also been involved at Johnson Creek. In 2020, they completed an online survey regarding options for Johnson Creek property. Of the 180 respondents, the majority selected find funding and donors to keep the property in public hands. Additionally, the city sponsored a community open house in September of 2023. There were an estimated 30 in attendance, and the event gathered community input regarding potential future use. We talked about Johnson Creek being a unique property. It's also a very important piece of property. When we look at the map, this is the last open piece of property on Beach Loop Drive. And a property of this size is irreplaceable for future generations of Bandon. We know that growth in the city is in our southern sector, and soon we'll have 1/3 of our city's population there. And if we look at this area more closely, basically Carter Street south to the city limit, there are 336 existing homes, and we estimate another 115 that could be built over the next few years. This is significant because all of these homes are within walking distance of Johnson Creek, which helps to reduce the need for on-site parking. Cities need parks. In fact, according to the American Planning Association, it recommends that smaller cities have at least 10 acres of parks for every 1,000 citizens. For Bandon, this equates to about 32 acres. Currently, City Park has about 15 acres with 30 to 40% of it used for structures and parking, and we do have 11th Street that dissects the park. So Johnson Creek, with an additional 37 acres, is an important part of helping the city maintain this important standard. Rumors. There's been rumors that Johnson Creek could be sold for golf course development. In the packet that we provided to you, there was extensive research that outlined the challenges being faced by golf courses. I want to summarize a few of those for you tonight. First, since 2006, golf course closures have outnumbered openings. Our research also showed that there are a growing number of examples of golf courses failing and land being returned to wetlands, parks, trails, and other public use property. We found examples of this in California and also in the Midwest. Our research also showed a national trend of profitability challenges. Golf courses have inherent expense management issues, including considerable maintenance and upkeep requirements, things like specialized mowers, frequent watering, fertilizers, grass seeds, and labor needs. This is in addition to the environmental concerns caused by the heavy use of fertilizers and pesticides. So from our research, we feel that a golf course is not the best potential use of this property. So what is the vision for Johnson Creek? Well, according to the Parks Master Plan, the goal for the property states to develop environmental and/or educational facilities for wildlife viewing and passive recreation. In July of 2019, this conceptual plan was drafted by the city, and it shows a series of trails and bridges and some on-site parking. So from this conceptual plan and looking at the work that's already been done there, here's what we see as other future possibilities for Johnson Creek. First, we want to develop an ethnocultural restoration project with the Coquille tribe. We foresee a site that includes pollinator gardens, native plant species growth areas, birding viewpoints, natural tree groves, walking trails, and paths. We see the area being used as an outdoor educational forum for our local schools. We talked about incorporating into the city's trolley routing and creating a turnaround at Johnson Creek. Overall, we see a site that offers numerous passive recreational activities that include bird watching, walking, and nature-focused educational classes. We also look to introduce ecotourism programming, such as family outdoor education through interpretive signage and activities, and we plan to leverage the extensive resources of the Oregon Coast Visitors Association. I'd like to give you an example of ecotourism programming. Let's say that we want to build trails at Johnson Creek. We bring in the expertise to do that, but we also invite the community and our visitors to participate. We then teach them the how-tos of trail building, and we're equipping them to take that knowledge home and to replicate that action. So it becomes a win-win, a win for our city in that we get new trails, and a win for other communities in that they're now equipped to do the same. So ultimately, our vision for Johnson Creek is that it becomes a destination and an attraction for our entire community and our visitors. So how do we make this happen? We are not here to dump another project on the city. What we foresee is a strategic partnership for growth between our organization and the city. We know that projects like Johnson Creek would require funding. So to accomplish this, we are recommending implementing a number of permanent funding solutions. First, we recommend creating a system development charge for parks. This was actually defined in the 2004 Abandoned Municipal Code, but was never implemented. We recommend reintroducing a discussion from a February 2009 City Council meeting where a ballot measure from the Parks and Recreation Commission for a $2 surcharge for utility bills directed towards parks had been approved by the City Council, but again, never implemented. We recommend creating a park district that would designate funds for parks and recreation. We recommend considering additional fees for room and vacation rental occupancy stays. And we recommend considering a local improvement district south of Carter to Seacrest to align with that growth sector. And finally, we look to use our status as a nonprofit to be a community partner with the city to obtain grants and funding. We've already identified over 25 organizations that provide funding for projects like Johnson Creek, and I'd like to highlight one of those for you tonight. Currently, the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development has a grant program where they have pledged $207 million over the next 5 years for projects of habitat protection and restoration. Up to $6 million per individual project. Somebody's going to get that money. And we feel that working with the city that we can generate a very compelling application for Johnson Creek. Well, that is a lot of information in a relatively short period of time. I'd like to wrap things up by presenting our final recommendation. We are proposing that Johnson Creek Greenway's highest and best use is to remain a minimally disturbed, city abandoned owned property to be used as environmental protection for urban stormwater. And the action step that we're looking for is for you, our city council, to vote yes to retain and maintain Johnson Creek Greenway as a natural resource parkland as defined in the park's master plan, the comprehensive plan, and the capital improvement plan. We're leaving you with a big decision, a decision that you will live with and a decision that the city abandoned will live with for a very long time. We seek a decision that aligns with the needs of the community and a decision that empowers our organization and your city staff to work together to fully integrate Johnson Creek into the city's park system and to potentially make it the envy of the entire South Coast. I thank you for your time and your thoughtful consideration. Are there any questions or concerns at this time?
I just have one point here. It says here in February of 2009, approved by the city council but not implemented. Well, actually, I believe it didn't go to a vote. Is that correct? We voted to turn it, I don't think it's not that we had the authority to levy this $2 surcharge because we didn't. It had to be voted on by the people. So that's what wasn't implemented. It wasn't that we just left the money on the table. That wasn't it at all. We knew that we'd have to go to the vote, which is what we'd have to do for any of these things.
Right.
We have to go to the voters because of our restrictive where we can't levy fees. I mean, I'm sure most people in the room know that because of a burdensome initiative petition, I think it was in 1995, that said without a vote of the people, we can't raise our electric rates, we can't raise our water rates, sewer rates, we can't do anything like you've suggested here without a vote of the people. And most cities don't have that kind of a restriction. And I wish we didn't. And that's going to be one of our goals, I think, is to try to get that restriction removed. But we've been trying for 25 years and you can see how successful we've been.
I
Not
think they
very.
voted it down and I want to say 2005, 2006, there was a ballot initiative for a parks district.
Okay.
There was for a Parks District, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a very comprehensive report and it will give us lots. I've read pretty much every page. It's an extremely comprehensive report and we appreciate it. I can't imagine anybody. Did Christine do most of this work or did
She
you? help?
did. She did.
It's a very comprehensive, yes. And we appreciate, thank you very much.
Well, my question, I heard you say that it would be a vote tonight, but when will we vote on this measure? Right now, Johnson Creek is sitting there. We're not working on it and nothing's happening.
Well, I think what we'll probably do is ask the city manager, for example, to bring back, it may be as early as September, and ask the city manager to bring back. We know that there are 2 culverts that have failed. Well, we want to know about, what that term means in terms of expense to the city, or whether a recreational immunity would be in place there so that if something did happen and one of the, somebody was injured, that we wouldn't be, we're going to have to look at those things. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any reason why we couldn't bring it back for the September meeting. We may, in fact, we may want to have, I don't know how the other counselors feel, but we may want to have a workshop to where we discuss all of this, but you have given us a very, very good roadmap here of any question that we have, I think is answered here. So does anybody have a problem with having this on the September agenda?
And a workshop later this month to prepare?
That may be pressing.
I don't know that we need a workshop with all, but I think every counselor needs, I know that we were expected to read it off of but most of the council doesn't have the full packet. And I think if everybody had the full packet, they would have every opportunity to prepare.
I don't think we have
Excellent.
to make a decision on when this is gonna come for a vote tonight.
Okay.
I think we'll certainly let you know when it happens.
I believe packets were provided for everybody.
Yes, she wanted to
PowerPoint
provide
presentation.
the packet,
Yeah.
because there's a lot more in here. I mean, there's
Yeah.
all the documents that led up to the information here is, that's 3/4. So yeah, I think everybody on
But you
the,
understand our dilemma, right? We're
Yes.
waiting. That grant program that I talked to, the $207 million, it's open for applications. We can't move forward unless we have a commitment that it's going to be part of our park system.
Well, personally, I don't see any reason why I mean, we've been talking about this for years. I don't see any reason why we can't put it on so maybe we should vote whether or not we think we can vote on it. We've got all the
the next
information
meeting?
at the next meeting, a month from now. Is that all right?
If I may, I would just recommend consideration of October because of what we are currently facing in the form of workload.
Okay.
There's this one large item that is still looming over our heads that I think
Mhm.
will be considered in September.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for wonderful presentation. Now we have the consent calendar items. Is there anything on here that anybody wants to bring out and discuss separately?
Yes.
Yes,
Item 3.1, page 3,
3.1.
page 3. So the $41,000 charge for the transformer, was that just one transformer or was that multiple transformers?
Right there.
He's losing me.
Page 3.
Mary.
Okay.
Where's the
Mine
bottom?
3/4 of the way down.
Where's the bottom right there?
Oh, annexed,
Here.
Oh, in this one,
Looks like one.
64840.
he said 3.1. You've got.
Yeah, 3.1.
Oh, I've got it. Okay.
Page 3.
Annexed.
Down towards the bottom.
Yes,
Okay.
I verified that is for one unit.
When you,
Yeah.
It's a large scale unit, the electric utility, water utility, wastewater is a very expensive business. And that's just one example of the cost that we incur.
how often do those last or go out, I should say?
It'd be hard to say. I could inquire with the electric utility supervisor and report back to the council with that.
Okay,
Could you find out the age of the one that we replace this with?
Sure.
That could kind of tell the
Yeah.
story.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got one more.
Yes.
Yes, Chris.
3.6, page 3 on that one also. Now
Wait, just let us find it before you.
Give us the
okay?
number.
Okay, give us a
3.6.
Chance to look. All right,
Please-
3.6.
Please,
Yeah, it's
no,
a
no, no, no,
police
no.
report,
Jerry, 3.6 on this,
Police report.
police
the
report,
police report.
Okay, I've got it.
page 3.
Page 3.
Hang on
Okay.
for Jerry.
I got it.
She got it. Okay, go.
All right, right about in the middle. Now, maybe I've neglected seeing this before, but is it? Oh, we do have some. Okay. Sex offender registration. We had 5 last month. Is that
Where's
like
that?
normal, high, low, or?
So it just depends. There's a whole bunch of different reasons to register.
We're just, he's looking at this.
So just to clarify, I don't have the data in front of me, but for sex offender registration, there can be a whole bunch of different reasons why they're registering. They have to do it annually. They have to do it anytime they change jobs, anytime they apply for higher education. So it can be,
Okay,
so we could potentially have like 30 in 1 month. That doesn't mean 30 moved into the
Right,
area.
all right.
So
Thank you, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, chief.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
63 speeding tickets. I like seeing that.
Yes, we like the speeding tickets, 63 speeding tickets. Unless you were one of the ones who got one and then
Yeah.
probably you weren't as happy as you could be.
Majority were out of state.
Do I hear a motion to approve the consent
So
calendar?
moved.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry. We approve the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous of those present. The next item is new and old business, requested action on PA 24036 petition to vacate the portion of Delaware Avenue between blocks 7 and 8 in the Woodland Addition to Bandon.
I love
And that is. Okay,
What number is it, Mary, again?
4.1, first pink one.
Thank you.
It's the thickest vacation I've ever seen in my life.
What's it for?
I don't know.
What's it, oh,
Dana, are you the one or?
Yes. All right, thank you for reading the title, so I don't have to. The city did receive a request for vacation of a city-owned right-of-way. The process for these is that the city recorder first checks to make sure that the request is complete. So she checks to make sure all the tax rolls are accurate. That's what you have here, just the insurance that the application was deemed complete. Once that occurs, then the city council is asked to either deny the petition outright and notify the petitioners or set a date for a public hearing. So what you're doing here tonight is setting a formal time or formally setting a time for a hearing upon the petition. We follow the ORS, which is 271.100, which states the city governing body may deny the petition after notice to the petitioners of such proposed action, but if there appears to be no reason why the petition should not be allowed in whole or in part, the governing body shall fix a time for a formal hearing upon the petition. The only thing to note here is that we are recommending that the public hearing be held on September 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. And then city staff handle the noticing. We notice in 3 public places in City Hall and then also on site. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Madam Mayor, I move to set a public hearing to consider the request on September 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the city council chambers.
Second.
Been moved by Peter, seconded by Josh, that we have a public hearing to consider this vacation request on September 9th at 7 in the city council chamber. All in favor? Unanimous. Seems like a lot of documents for, I've
Exactly.
seen a lot of vacations. Do we always have a hearing for a vacation?
Yes, yeah, there's always a hearing. Sometimes the city council initiates the hearing and on their own motion, which means we sort of skip the petition portion. But anytime we get a petition, we receive a petition, the city council has to set the hearing date.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to go see it. Are we allowed to go see it?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can drive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
4.2, the initiation of an amendment to the Bandon Municipal Code to consider a master planned development ordinance. Dana?
That's me too. All right, so in the planning department's work program for 23-24, the city council and the planning commission identified an item called master planned development. The idea behind that is that the planning commission and city council, after public hearings, so through the Type 4 legislative process, could allow a property up to 10 acres to essentially set their own zoning standards and recreation in exchange for a list of public benefits. Those are listed here in the staff report, the ones that we've come up with. I would like to reiterate that the purpose in the original conversation we had around master plan developments was to help with the development of workforce or affordable housing, more affordable housing. Our code is pretty rigid in terms of how housing can be developed. And so this is an opportunity for a specific parcel under specific circumstances, have more realistic or flexible standards. So the planning commission held a work session last month to consider the item. They did hold a work session about a year prior and discuss this in detail. They did vote 6-1 to forward it to the city council for a recommendation. There were some concerns about the level of workload required for this type of project and also that it could be a more challenging planning action to consider. So just wanted to pass that along to you. We did state that if the city council chose to initiate the ordinance, that there would still be a number of public hearings to continue to modify the ordinance as presented. But we did draft up the ordinance because what we're required to do at this point is if you initiate this, we post notice on the city's website at least 20 days in advance of the first hearing. We also are required to submit a post-acknowledgement plan amendment to the Department of Land Conservation and Development 35 days in advance, and they require a draft of the ordinance that you're considering. So I'll also mention, we did receive a public comment on the item with some concern that there wouldn't be enough opportunity to provide public feedback. I'd like to reiterate that there would be opportunities both before the Planning Commission and the City Council. Type 4 legislative hearings are not subject to the 120-day rule, which sometimes requires that we have a fast process because we have to get development applications through the system. So if there were any concern about the project not being vetted enough, the city council or planning commission could hold multiple hearings. There's also an opportunity during the public hearing process to consider master plan developments, to modify the way that we are getting community feedback during the legislative process. So just wanted to put that out there. And so the request tonight is to, if you are ready, initiate an amendment to the Bandon Municipal Code to consider the master plan development ordinance, which would set in motion our process to start noticing for the first evidentiary hearings.
And
Please let me know if you have any questions.
Dana, this only pertains to one parcel of land?
So the idea is that any parcel of land over 10 acres could apply. And the 10 acres, again, you can change that number later. That was what the planning commission settled on for now. But so not a particular property, but any property or contiguous properties
10 acres or more.
of 10 acres or
So
more.
you were talking, when you and I talked about it, because I questioned this also, as did Mr. Spencer.
Yeah.
Places like the hospital, where we have the hospital and then the clinic, and now we're negotiating to buy the properties across the street. So it would be a large area that then we would have more authority, and we as the hospital board would have more authority as how it was zoned and what we did with it.
That's correct. That's a great example of the underlying zoning at Southern Coos Hospital is residential too. It does allow for some of those medical uses, but if you were going to have a medical campus, it might make sense to sort of set standards and zoning based on that particular piece of property, which is what this code would allow you to do.
Yeah.
It would allow us to do that.
Mhm. Through a legislative process where you're adopting a code that then is subject, that subject property would then be subject to those rules and regulations thenceforth. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion.
I have,
Well,
you asked us when you started if we're ready to take this on. The question is planning staff ready to take this on?
Yes, we feel comfortable and confident. I have done a lot of research looking at what other cities have done to take on or to implement a master plan development ordinance. We specifically spoke to the planning commission about how we streamlined our approach. There are some cities that require a lot more technical detail, a lot more information for staff to process up front. We realize though that it is going to be a big ask. But in my professional opinion, I think it's what Bandon needs in order to create more housing. I think that it would be more challenging to try to amend all of the existing codes to make something like this happen rather than take it on in a specific parcel.
And as long as I understood all of the potential benefits to making this amendment, but can you give me an example of transportation efficiency, how that would help?
Sure. So this might be more of a big city thing, but I think a transportation efficiency where if you wanted to have streets that had specific bulb outs for buses or some way to implement some sort of transit project, you could do something like that. You might also have specific standards for transportation efficiency, like having bike lanes or shared use bike path, like ped path. I'm trying to think of more examples, but I think any sort of unique transportation standards that would be outside of what the city council normally does. I think also you've done projects or exceptions to street standards where it makes sense to not do full build out. That might be another transportation efficiency measure.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I just add, conceptually speaking, we're currently in the process of developing the site plan for the workforce housing project that we're in partnership with the school district. And as currently conceptualized, it will include 3 types of housing product. Single-family residential, it would provide for a townhome product, and then the dormy apartment building. So currently, the municipal code does not allow for that to occur. And with the master plan development and the ability to create unique specific zoning for that site, which also has a very unique constraints because of the water inundation areas. What this allows is for us to maximize the usability of the site to accommodate desperately needed housing. And as part of that, we are also looking to improve the public right-of-way to promote improved pedestrian circulation and access to the adjacent school. And that would be another example of transportation, including pedestrian circulation.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion authorizing city staff to initiate an amendment to the Bandon Municipal Code to consider a master plan development ordinance.
Second. It's been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we ask city staff to initiate the amendment to the Bandon Municipal Code for a master planned development ordinance. All in favor? Unanimous. The next item is the collective bargaining agreement, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Clerical and Library for fiscal year 24-25 through 26-27. I guess that's Paula or somebody or Tori, Paula.
Yes, we have Paul in the audience who could provide a brief presentation on the item.
She was hiding there.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. So before you is a tentative agreement we have reached with IBW, our clerical and library staff, which is 6 clerical and 4 library employees. Documented here is some updated language, updates to our wages, and adding a federally recognized holiday. So there really wasn't too much in here. Do you have any questions on it?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve 4.3, which is captioned below. Authorize the city manager to enter into the agreement and make administrative amendments for the duration of the agreement. Approve the collective bargaining agreement for International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local Union 659 Clerical and Library for fiscal year 24-25
Second.
through fiscal year 26-27. Not done yet. And authorize the city manager to enter into the agreement and make administrative amendments for the duration of the agreement. Now, Josh.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline.
And I'll
seconded by Josh, and that Josh, that we enter into the agreement. All in favor? Unanimous. Similarly, collective bargaining agreement for the Teamsters Public Works for fiscal year 24-25 through 26-27. Paula?
So Teamsters, this is for the Public Works Group, which is 6 Public Works employees, 2.5 at our water plant and 2.5 at our wastewater plant. The contract period you've stated is July 1, 24 through June 30th, 27. We're updating some non-discrimination language. We're implementing COLAs to wages. We have updated certification pays, which haven't been updated for many, many years, I think since they were established. And again, recognizing the federal holiday Juneteenth.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve 4.4, which is captioned below. Authorize the city manager to enter into the agreement and make administrative amendments for the duration of the agreement. Approve the collective bargaining agreement for Teamsters Local Number 206 Public Works for fiscal year 24-25 through fiscal year 26-27, and authorize the city manager to enter into the agreement and make administrative amendments for the duration of that agreement.
Second. Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we approve the bargaining agreement. All in favor? Unanimous. Resolution 24-16, revised Public Works employee salary schedule for fiscal year 24-25. Paula?
So now that you've approved the Teamsters bargaining agreement, when the salaries were prepared during budget, which would have been about February, there were an estimation because we didn't have the agreement in place. And the actual agreement is 1% lower than was in the budget estimate. So this is
That's nice.
updating the salary schedule.
Oh, okay. Make a motion to approve resolution 24-15, which is captioned as follows. Resolution number 24-16, adopting the revised Public Works employee salary schedule for fiscal year 24-25.
That's it, second.
That's
Moved
it,
by
second.
I moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we adopt resolution number 24-16. All in favor? Unanimous. The next item is a city council appointment, and we did have 3, but one person has withdrawn. So we have 2 candidates, Archie Garrett and Bear Slothauer. And I believe do we have papers that we're going to vote? You didn't do it?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I have them out.
Okay.
You can have a 3-minute break.
Yeah.
We'll have a 5-minute break. Okay,
If you like, we can move on to city manager comments.
sure, that'd be fun.
Yes, for this evening, I would like to introduce the chief who's here today. I'd like to provide you an overview of a plan or project we're working on, and also to announce something very special. Chief?
Thank you, Corey. This is not a great setup here. Let me pass out a document real quick, help explain what I'm working on or looking at.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Evacuation plan.
Oh,
All right.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, thank you for giving me a few minutes. Yeah, as you can see from what I've handed out, it's not something very cheerful, but the way my mind works, once I get something locked in there, I attack it and I just can't let it go. And Bandon, the community of Bandon has a innate generational trauma with fire. And I mean, you could, by the way, you're all nodding your head. We have plans in place for tsunamis and stuff. And a while back, I was like, what is our plan to evacuate in case of a fire? Well, the answer is we don't really have one, and we just kind of cross our fingers and hope something good happens. So I took it on myself. I went to an evacuation summit and I started to learn and I started to plan. And what I'm here tonight is to talk to you guys about is what's in front of you is a very rough draft for an evacuation plan in the case of a fire or some other large scale emergency. I learned some very troubling things that, like, for instance, this is gonna bug me.
what was that?
Your nameplate was about to fall off. It's driving me crazy. I learned some interesting things like forest fires can travel at 30 miles an hour. I don't know if anybody knew that. So I'm proposing this plan. It's a rough draft. I spoke with Tori and the fire chief and public works, and we started to kind of table it and kind of work things out. And my plan or my proposition is something extremely simple that we can educate the public with. The reason I'm here tonight is because I want to pick your brains and kind of throw this out so you can start to think about it and contact your constituents and see if there's some things that we might be missing or things that we're not thinking about. But if you look at this little document that Officer Carpenter, it's my plan, but Officer Carpenter illustrated, is the city will be broken up into a couple of zones. Those zones are indicated by letters. And then we have 3 evacuation routes: Highway 101 North, Highway 101 South, and then Highway 42. So what the plan would look like, once we kind of approve it and come to some sort of agreement, is in the event of an emergency, we would do an Everbridge notification through our dispatch. It's similar to an Amber Alert. So every phone would get some sort of emergency alert that zones A, B, and D take evacuation route 1. It would depend on where the fire is coming from and what's going on. It could be 1 and 2 are cut off by the fire. So it might be something like all zones take evacuation route 3. What it is just a way to break up the city into zones. And we can start to educate the public via Facebook. I plan to hit the schools and educate the kids and really do a deep dive into what zone you live in and know what the routes are. It's very, very simple, as you can see. A couple letters, a couple numbers. What I've learned through living life through some not apocalyptic, but very, very hard things in other countries is when these things happen, your plan kind of goes to heck. So I want to keep it very simple and try to educate our public as best we can extensively, so everyone knows what zone they're in. I mean, it could be something like at Halloween when we do our, what zone are you in when we're handing out candy, Facebook blasts. I'd like to potentially, once we approve the plan, send it out in water bills, power bills, know your zone, know what zone you're in, know what the routes are. So God forbid that day comes, everyone's educated and we can make that happen. There's also the levels down there below that you've probably seen on the news a million times. 1, 2, and 3. 1, something's bad. 2, get ready to go. 3, go. And the one little thing that I'm going to add into our plan when we finalize it is because, like I said before, when things go bad, cell towers might go down. There's all kinds of potential for problems. When we do a level 3, I would like it to be evacuate and tell your neighbor to your right and tell your neighbor to your left. That way we have a little bit of a fail safe because you don't have to depend on technology. It's pack up your car, knock on your neighbor's door to the left, say, we got to go, knock on your neighbor's door to the right, say, we got to go. And that's 2 additional lives saved right there. So it's just a very rough draft on a plan. Like I said, I want to get your input, and not necessarily tonight, but somewhere down the line, if you need to talk to me or want to have anything you want to add, I'd be
I just have one, I noticed that there's no route to the beach. So there's no route to Beach Loop. And if in the case of a fire, it was the beach and the jetty that saved most of the people in Bandon. They couldn't go south or north or east. They,
Yeah, I mean, that's
I
one of the
think
reasons
that's a
I'm here.
really important thing for a fire is
I would,
go to the water.
yeah, I mean, that's something, something we could consider, something I'd talk to the fire chief, but I don't know that, historically, was the Gorse as close to the beach as it is now back in the?
Probably not.
No,
That'd be something to think about, look at. I mean, I would almost call it a fallback or an emergency, because I'd like people to get out of town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
three are cut off.
You know,
River, slow
The
down.
river-
because you also have to think, I mean, the smoke, depending on which way the wind's blowing, you know, you could have a lot of people. I mean, it's something to consider, definitely.
Didn't have many cars then too.
That's true.
And what, like, the sheriff who I really picked his brain, who, is in California, he's dealt with like, I think he's in the middle of his sixth FEMA type evacuation. He's like an expert, and he was kind of giving me some rundowns on this, and he was mentioning the idea of contraflow. That's where you turn the highway, both lanes of the highway into southbound. So like if we, you know, we have to evacuate the town, the very good likelihood that everyone head south, both lanes southbound. No one's coming into town just to get everybody out. But that's something to consider and something to think about. So again, just a preliminary thing, like you guys think about it, we'll touch bases with you.
I think,
I want to do it soon, because I talked to Tori about it and we had our little pre-meeting, and then the fire pops up out there, and I was on vacation and I was parading around in my hotel room going, of course. I put a plan down and the town's gonna burn down.
Did you ever find out the cause of it, chief?
It wouldn't surprise me. I'm sorry. Was there a
Did you
question?
ever find out the cause of that fire?
I was very disinvolved. I was at Crater Lake, so I did not hear much about it.
heard electrical, but whatever.
Electrical?
Yeah.
I wonder if CERT, the people from CERT might be interested in being part of the
Yeah,
conversation.
there's
They
many-
they have a lot of ways to get the word out as well.
Yeah,
They
they do.
do some community outreach.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very quick. That's one thing I know, is it's not, there wouldn't be a lot of time to, now CERT would probably be a big, help afterwards.
Yeah.
There's other things to consider, like I know our population pretty well. I've kind of made plans for an, emergency animal shelter. Plan to talk to Riverview Kennels, see if there's a way, like, for displaced people, you know, we can round up the animals.
Mainly, I was talking about how to engage the public to get.
Right.
Oh, for education, yeah,
right.
definitely. That's one of the reasons I'm here, because I know you guys would think of things I wouldn't.
The city,
A lot of opportunity for that.
the city joined in with the multi-jurisdictional plan for the hazard mitigation plan, right? Was there any of evacuation plans or any info that was in that plan?
I believe that was mostly post, emergency problems.
Post-emergency.
Like what FEMA, like, you know, again, cross our fingers and hope FEMA comes to save the day. This is about before,
Gotcha.
Getting out.
proactive. Yeah.
I just didn't know if there was any information we could pull from that.
There might be, yeah, it might be worth pulling over that for sure.
Chief, let me ask you, if all the cell towers go down, then how do we get notification to evacuate
Officers driving through the neighborhoods with their PAs,
with,
you know, I mean, that's the thing, the scary thing is
yeah,
if they do go down, and that's more stuff I'm depending on you guys, like if you come up with some sort of idea that I can't think of, but there'll be a lot of deputizing people probably, you know.
we've always.
They
got our-
put each of you guys out there on a horse and
Yeah, this.
get after it.
I'm in, put me on a horse.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
in.
commandeer the horses from the stables and
That'd be fine.
Because 20, 30, well, 40 years ago, when I was at the paper, and they had like an earthquake somewhere and they had to evacuate the people in Jetty, they just went with bullhorns, the police, all up
I mean,
and
that's-
down the neighborhoods. We didn't have cell phones and cell towers and
yeah, it would be the most effective thing, but everyone you get out is a life saved and
yeah.
In that case, okay, it's coming to town and everybody's got to evacuate. Would there be anybody near City Hall that could put on our emergency sirens and talk through the system? Or of course, everybody right there is like all for themselves, get out.
well,
Yes,
that's,
we plan on, once we develop the plan and we're all in agreement that this is the preferred plan to present, we would also like to bring forth a report to look at other ways of notifying the residents during a tsunami or fire emergency. what we've come to realize is that the tsunami sirens are very expensive to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
And
So we're going
we,
digital, right?
yeah, we were looking at replacing some damaged equipment from the elements at a price tag of about $135,000 for one tower.
Yeah, no, digital is much.
So
affordable.
with the cost of maintaining it, and that's just one tower, we have yet to inspect the others. We are looking for more effective ways of communicating this information and utilizing technology that other cities are currently employing. And I'd like to present that as a project under the umbrella of community safety along with this plan in the future.
Chief, when do you think that you'll be finishing up this, whatever you're doing to present it to us? So
I'd like to let it marinate for about a week or two, see if you guys have anything or your constituents have anything, and then I'd like to start getting, I mean, it's not gonna be much more than what you see here. It's gotta be very simple.
Right.
I'm just, it's something that's, quite frankly, I don't know why it's taken this long to get me going on it or get someone going on it. So I'd like to get it in place as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you talk about being gone, my grandfather owned the paper here for 25 years before the Bandon fire, and he almost never left town. But that weekend, he was in Florence, and when he was introduced into the Oregon Newspaper Hall of Fame, I read the induction and wrote it, that he missed the biggest story of his career. And it took 2 days to get back here because the bridges were all burned. It wasn't just a fire in Bandon, it was a fire all around us.
Well, the day after we had our meeting, there was a lightning storm.
Yeah.
The day after, and Tim Lakey was sending me maps of where all the lightning strikes were, and I was like,
Yeah.
of course. So, anything else? Any other questions? Like I said, it's kind of a rough draft.
That's
And then casual reminder, tomorrow is National Night Out. Hope to see everybody there, 5 to 8. Which one was in the dunk tank?
don't be pointing your finger.
Okay, all right. I was inquiring.
It's too cold.
I'm too old for that.
I did it once.
I can finally.
Wasn't that your
You
birthday
did?
present, Mary?
What?
I said, wasn't that your birthday?
Yeah, right.
I have a wetsuit. you
Once
can borrow.
was in.
I'll bet you do.
Oh, there you go.
So now are you finished with your report, or shall we go back to the,
Yes, that was the end of my report. Thank you.
all right, then now we're going to
Sorry about that.
have the papers and,
First thing you'll need to do, council, is you will need to sign these. I put your, so please put your name, and you're gonna vote for one person. Let's sign.
and I don't vote.
We must sign them.
Sign.
Check, of course,
Hmm,
with a check mark, or it doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters.
Why?
Why don't you just sign it? That's all she cares about. There you go, madame.
These are gonna be destroyed anyway. Yeah.
They're not,
Redder, right?
they save them.
Well, not until they're read into the record. They're not going to be shredded.
They will go in the shredder eventually.
You can read, yeah, they have to be read into the record. You can't have secret ballots, but this is the way it's historically been
That's the
done.
legal way.
I don't like it.
What?
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. It's absurd.
What?
We've never done it this way.
We,
I
yeah,
know.
we used to, yeah.
I know.
And particularly if there were 3, we set it up if there were 3, and that way somebody,
I thought
Yeah,
everybody
well-
just appointed.
no, not council.
Are you ready?
No. mm-mm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Counselor Purcell voted for Bearstock Tower. Counselor President Seymour voted for Bearstock Tower. Counselor Braun voted for Bearstock Tower. Counselor Powell voted for Archie Garrett. And Counselor Addison voted for Archie Garrett. So it's 3-2 Bearstock Tower.
Okay, thank you, June.
Thank you.
And Archie, you are going to be filing, right? Okay. Right, so I think we are going to have him sworn in now if we can.
We do that?
Mr. Stocktower?
think I have to take a picture of this.
Yeah, you need to get a picture.
Hi.
Aye.
You need to stand there. So raise your right hand. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand. First of all, hold on one second.
Oh, okay. You just say it.
Mhm.
I officially resigned from the planning commission
Oh, okay.
As of today.
as of right now.
Thank you. Good, Shayla? Thank you. Okay.
I didn't even think of that.
Raise your right hand. I, repeat after me into the microphone,
Okay.
okay?
I,
Gerald.
Gerald Slothauer,
Bear.
Bear,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the state of Oregon,
and the laws of the state of Oregon,
the charter and ordinance of the city of Bandon,
the charter and ordinance of the city of Bandon,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of city councillor
the duties of city councillor
of the city of Bandon
by the city at the city of Bandon
in Coos County
in Coos County
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Now come sign.
All right.
Right over here. Just because it's my turn to talk, if anybody would like to stay for a few minutes after today is Madam Mayor's birthday today,
Yeah.
and we do have cake and coffee if anybody would like to stay.
That's what Jared just said.
Congratulations. I'll be all set to you.
No, ask if we should make the announcement. Yes.
And that's not a mayor. He's leaving now, so.
Well,
Well, he thought maybe Archie would want to apply.
I just,
that's
But he
what Jared
doesn't
just
say he
said.
doesn't want to because he's running for council.
Yeah,
So he
exactly.
doesn't want to be on the planning commission.
Well, you should know something about what's going on.
Okay,
Okay,
wrap this up.
Now we've discussed.
we'll have an
Stop
executive
it.
session.
I know we got an executive session. That's what I'm saying. It's
And Peter
All right.
move this along. huh?
Where'd Bear go? Well,
It's right there.
you might as
Yeah,
well go up
come on
there.
up, Bear. Just got sworn
Come
in.
on, what do you think we? Okay, now we're time for public comment. George, I'll bet you have something to say. I see you there hiding behind the
I
podium.
want to see what happens up there on the hill.
Now get you, Mike.
George Davis, 794th Street Southeast. First, I want to thank the city manager and
The police.
police department. Last month, I came to you on Monday. Tuesday, the police department was out there doing their job.
Yay.
That's what we'd like to hear.
I've got some pictures I'd like to give you.
There was the homeless thing up by,
Oh,
Remember?
The ones with the clip corners are before, the other ones are after.
Okay.
And you can see what went on up there. The city work crew has also been working up there, doing a tremendous job clearing out the mess that was up on the city property.
Yeah.
There's still a lot left there. I don't know how they're gonna get it all out. But as Chief Dillon was leaving the area on that Tuesday,
Jersey.
he told me they had given the person who was living on my property 24 hours to leave or be cited for trespass. The person told him that they thought they were living, or that they were camping on city property. They did leave my property, but left a lot of things behind, which gradually disappeared over the next few days. But there is a lot of trash left there and damage to the trees and hillside. I've made it a habit to visit the campsite every day or two, as I discovered a well-worn path leading from the lower part of my property to that area. On one occasion, I found a nearly new battery-operated weed eater, battery-operated hedge trimmer, and a backpack. I had gloves on, so opened the backpack, and among other things, there was a set of parole papers for a person with a long list of felonies who had just been released from custody and placed on probation the week before. I assumed the equipment was going to be used to clear more paths on my property. So I moved the equipment to show it had been discovered in its hiding place. The next day, the trimmer and backpack were gone, and the weed eater was gone the following day. On that day, I climbed the trail up to the city property and saw that the wire fence surrounding my neighbor's property had been cut wide open. You have a picture of it in there. My neighbor is an elderly widow living on her own. I told her about the cut fence, and she found out that one of her outbuildings had been entered and ransacked. This whole recent experience has left me very concerned. The trespass and long-term camping on my property, the continued trespassing, the many campfires on the city's and my property, the damage to my hillside, the damage to the trees and vegetation on my property, the large amount of trash left on my property, the unbelievable amount of drug paraphernalia in the area, and the chief took pictures of that. The fence cutting on my neighbor's property. The very real possibility of a wildfire starting both from campfires and smoking in this once pristine forested area is frightening. Because our properties are adjacent to the city right-of-way and city-owned properties, my concern is that we will have all these problems continue unless the city takes action to stop camping on city property. I have found at least 2 other campsites there on the hillside. There have been additional campfires on my property since the long-term person left. So I really want to know, does the city have a plan to address the problems of camping on city property? Thank you.
Thank you, George. Now, how does, what was the latest decision of Grants Pass v. Johnson? So what happened? How does that pertain to us, considering the state laws?
Yes, this is currently being reviewed, and I'll defer to the city attorney for any additional information or details she has to report.
Well, the state laws are still all in effect. However, I anticipate in the next legislative session, it's going to be the top of the subject category for some fixes in regards to that decision that came down from the Supreme Court. But as it stands now, what is on the books in Oregon is still, you have the ability to enter into regular time, place, and manner type restrictions, which is what Bandon does presently have.
I was so excited when that ruling came.
I know, so was I until I remembered what the state legislature had done.
Out of curiosity, since it does look like that's gonna change things, if we went ahead and did something now, where does that put us?
Well, I would say you're fine as far as the federal law is, but the state law, it would still be a violation of state law. Now, what the repercussions would be of that at this point is an unknown. But as what's presently on the books as far as the Oregon State Legislature is that we only have the ability to do what we have done.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because if you look at those pictures, you can see all the ash, the burnt stuff, and that's
Yeah.
like, you know, We're gonna be in this situation real. quick.
Yeah,
That-
this fire situation is absolutely the worst part of this. As it gets drier and drier,
Well, is there anything in the code that says if we do this, they'll fine us?
Has anyone ever tested it? Let's say.
I
that.
think the greatest concern is that if we fail to comply with Oregon state law, we would subject ourselves to a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And that I think is the greatest risk that we would face.
And who would file
Lawsuit
the
possibly
lawsuit?
filed by a housing advocate.
Okay,
Yes.
we've got lots of
Yes,
them.
we do.
okay.
All right.
Anyway, George,
you.
we understand, and I'm glad that after we talked about it last month, that there was quick action taken.
And
I
thank
know,
you, Chief.
yes,
Very much.
thank you for bringing it to our attention,
Yes.
George.
Yes.
All right, is there any, let's see. City manager comments, we've already had those. Does staff have anything? We don't really have staff comments. We've eliminated you guys. You don't- Okay, all right, then we'll
Birthday.
have this, council comments. Bear. You're a 5 minute, yeah, you're 5 minutes.
I don't have anything.
Okay, Jerry.
Well, welcome, Bear,
Oh, thanks.
until November, then
No,
you're up
till
again,
January 1st.
January. Correct.
Well, then he's running, he's
He's
running,
running.
so he
Yeah,
may
I'm
still
also
be
running.
sitting in the same place.
Well, I just want to remind everybody about, as Chief said, tomorrow night, National Night Out,
That's-
August 6th, 5 to 8 at the City Park.
That's
Free
what I-
food, free fun, and lots of people that you know. Have a good night, everybody.
Happy birthday, Mary.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Milestone today.
Yeah, let's not advertise it.
They're all milestones.
They are, when you get to
That's
be
true.
my age,
That's
they're all
true. That's
milestones.
true.
Yes.
And National Night Out last year and was last year the first year?
Second.
Second year. Yeah, the last 2 years has been a lot of fun. And make sure you watch the dunk tank, whoever goes in there. It's cold in there too, trust me. Anyway, see y'all tomorrow.
I'm wondering, I don't know if you addressed, in the reports, I'm sure you didn't address the sewer problem, but I think that we had Friday, we had a major water line break.
Yeah.
And then last night or night before, we had a sewer break. And tell me what happened to the Baptist Church Hall.
Yes, it's been reported to me through the Public Works Department that there was a sewer backup that occurred, resulting in waste to be deposited within the church's auditorium.
Oh,
And as a result of that, we contracted with a private party that is licensed and qualified to remedy that condition. And we are currently pursuing a claim through our insurance to fund that cost. The incident was addressed immediately by Public Works staff. During the process of reporting to the scene, our equipment failed, and we relied on an adjacent community. I believe it was Coquille who provided us with the Vector truck to help us in this
Okay.
condition.
wow.
And later that day, we were able to have staff replace the equipment that failed on the vehicle. And we then utilized it to remedy the condition on a more permanent basis. And so that's currently where we stand with that.
So, and I wonder if where Mr. Davis lives over the hill, right down like that, how wide an area was impacted, you know?
I don't know for sure. It was up from the actual location at the bridge that has been historically an issue. We have that area of the sewer line cleaned out
Okay.
every 6 months. This was a new location along that line that had this issue. And so we're currently trying to determine what may have caused that. Staff believes that it's just the result of residential deposits of grease that may have accumulated over a long period of time.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Peter?
I don't have anything other than to thank Berta, our volunteer of the month, and if you see her about town, make sure you give her a thanks.
She's great.
Cheers.
I will say happy birthday, Barry. Welcome, Bear. And thank you, everybody, for coming.
Chris?
Same for me. Happy birthday. Welcome.
All right, now we're going to be adjourning to executive session, and I'm assuming we're going to leave and go into the room.
I believe first we have planned a cake cutting.
Oh, a cake cutting.
So we'll adjourn for a short recess prior to closed
All right,
session.
we're gonna have a 5-minute recess. Well,
Turn your mics off.
a cake from Coastal Miss.
Are you doing candles? Cause I haven't done my fire plan yet, so.
Yeah.